Hey everyone, this is Tony from Top Notch Sports, and today's video is going to be about AEW. With me being the wrestling guru of this channel, I am here to give you information about what is going on in the wrestling world. Again, today's video is going to be specifically about AEW. If you want to learn more about it, keep watching. Thank you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Top Notch Sports. Today's video is about the AEW pay-per-view Revolution that took place March 5th on a Sunday, I believe. It was March 5th. So again, this is mainly going to be a recap video. We're going to talk about all the matches that happened from first to last, all right? It was a splendid pay-per-view to watch, and I can't wait to see more. I haven't really watched AEW, really. Again, like we all know, me and Nick are mainly WWE guys, so AEW isn't really our thing. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna watch this pay-per-view and I'm gonna just see what's all the hype about AEW. So here we go. So the first match was actually taking place before the pay-per-view actually started. They call it their 0 hour match. The match was the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champ Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros, Penta El Zero and Rey Fenix, versus Ari Daivari and the Varsity Athletes, which consists of Josh Woods and Tony Nese. So we started off with a tag team match. So start off the match, we had Penta El Zero and Rey Fenix start off the matches for both their teams, as a normal tag team match starts, Well, shortly after, it got into a brawl. What type of tag team match is there that not all members all of a sudden just collide in the ring, I feel like every tag team match that always happens at some point in the match, It's just like a thing. Well, Mark Briscoe ended up hitting a neck breaker from the top, neck breaker off the apron on the Josh Woods, while Mark Sterling jumped on the apron to distract Penta El Zero. Well, Woods, Nese, and Daivari utilized quick tags to trap Penta El Zero in the corner of the ring. Rey Fenix made the tag, but Woods continued the tornillo, I think it's called, with the rising knee strike. While then they got tag and used his redneck kung fu on Ari Daivari. Well, while using a chair, Mark Briscoe launched himself over the top rope onto Woods and Nese. Mark climbed to the top rope, but Nese disrupted Mark's balance. While Mark chopped Nese off the turnbuckles, Nese came back with the 450 splash on Mark. But the Lucha Bros broke up the tag. The Lucha Bros crunched Ari, and then Mark splashed Ari with the froggy bow, I think that's what they called it, to score the pin. So, as you see, Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Bros won the match. So that was the first match of the night. Again, it took place during their 0 hour, kind of like what WWE used to do, I guess, where they used to have that kickoff show where it's just a random match or two. And then the next match went into Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho. Well, As we all know, Chris Jericho is part of the Appreciation Society. Well, sorry, it's called the Jericho Appreciation Society. Well, they were banned from ringside. So it was only Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho. Well, first it started off with Starks planted Jericho with a DDT off the ropes for almost a 3 count. Ricky went for a spear, but then Jericho had Starks scouted and countered with a code breaker. Again, a phenomenal move. I remember him over in WWE. That move ended matches instantly sometimes. A great move, one of my favorites all time. But then Jericho and Starks slugged it out in the center of the ring. Starks clocked Jericho with a thrust kick. Starks put Jericho in a single leg crab. I think it's Guevara. If I mispronounce these names, correct me in the comments, even though kind of can't. I guess just try to like do one of, you know what I mean? Like, when you go to when you spell out a pronunciation of a word, just put it in the comments for me so I can learn how to say it if I said it wrong. But Sammy Guevara ended up running the ringside, but Action Andretti came out of nowhere and neutralized Sammy. As the ref was distracted by Sammy and Action brawling at ringside, because why not? Jericho cracked Ricky with a baseball bat. And Jericho tried for the Judas effect, but Ricky blocked it. Ricky nailed Jericho then with the Shambo and pinned Jericho. That match ended up with Ricky Starks beating Jericho in that match. The last burial match is the next match on the list. Started out with, not started out, sorry, it's a one-on-one with the Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Christian Cage. Well, there's only one rule: is you have to shove your opponent in the casket and shut the lid. It's basically just a casket match from WWE. They just changed the name of the match. The last burial. Just a casket match. Just keep it that way. I get it. You don't want to copy and paste, but that's basically what it was. Anywho, starts off Jack Perry grounded and pounded on Chris Jericho. Well, Jack has not lost in this calendar year. I forgot to say that. So he's going into this match undefeated, basically. Jungle Boy was looking for a top rope, not top rope, oh my god, a tope, whatever that is. I don't know what that was. But Christian Cage retreated through the crowd. Jack Perry stalked Christian up the stands and through the fans. So this match is starting off going around. It's almost like a false count anywhere, but except you just got to get him into the casket. Jack Perry tackled Christian Cage on the ramp, while Jack's mother and sister were watching from the front row. Again, just like any other pay-per-view, for some reason I feel like there's always got to be like someone's like relative in like the front row watching. They always got to like point that out. Like even WWE, like we've seen it at like Elimination Chamber with Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, but we're not talking about WWE. This is AEW. But after that, Jack connected with the tope and sent Christian Cage crashing against the ringside barricade. Christian Cage grabbed Jack Perry's legs and swept him off the ring steps. Christian Cage pulled Jack's belt off and began to whip him with it. That was crazy. Christian Cage opened the casket and pulled a steel chair out of it. Why was there a steel chair? Why is there a steel chair in the casket? Who puts a steel chair? Who puts a chair in the casket? You're laying down in there. You don't got to sit. Perry was there, but Jack Perry was there and attempted a pile driver on the ramp, but Christian Cage countered it with a backdrop. Christian was about to go for the kill switch on the ramp, but Jungle Boy shoved Christian off the ramp and onto the cold, hard floor. As Jack Perry was about to swing a chair at Christian Cage, Cage kicked Perry with a low blow. Christian Cage threw dirt into Jungle Boy's eyes, temporarily blinding him. Christian swung a chair at Perry, looking for the concerto, but Perry defended himself with a shovel. Jack Perry locked in the snare trap, using the shovel for extra leverage. Jack Perry cracked Christian Cage with the chair, hitting him with the same move, the concerto. Again, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry, of his own. So yeah, we see Jack roll Christian Cage into the casket and close the lid for the win. So the Jungle Boy still stays undefeated. Hey, good for him. Good for that guy. Then there was an AEW World Trios Championship match. So from what I know, is AEW introduced, I think, the first ever three-man tag team championship. Interesting. I mean, I remember hearing them talk about this in the past, so this isn't something brand new in AEW, but like it's from what I know, it's new to the wrestling industry. So this is interesting. But the match consisted of the Elite, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And yeah, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but the Young Bucks are Nick and Matt Jackson. So Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks make up the Elite. While the House of Black is Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black. So this started off with Omega and Matthews in the ring for both their teams fighting it off. Well, then Malachi Black tagged himself in. Omega blocked a leg kick from Black. Omega used an arm drag then. Black tried for a back kneel kick, but Omega ducked it. Matt Jackson tagged in and called out Brody King. Matt hit the ropes and then tagged out to his brother Nick. The Young Bucks nailed Brody with a double drop kick. Nick spiked Buddy with the face buster. Matt jumped over the post with a crossbody press on Black and Matthews. Omega took down Brody King with the Hurricanrana. Omega went over the top rope with the Terminator dive, wiping out the House of Black on the arena floor. The momentum shifted in favor of the House of Black. Brody splashed Nick Jackson in the corner and then tossed him halfway across the ring. Kenny Omega tagged in and crumbled Brody with a basement dropkick. Matthews tagged in and blasted Kenny with a John Woo dropkick, whatever that is, or whatever that means, or whatever that was. Again, some of these names of these moves, I don't even know. Like, what the hell is a John Woo dropkick? Like, I watched it happen. I just don't know what's the name of a John Woo. Omega was looking for a Snapdragon suplex, but Brody King nearly decapitated Omega with a short arm lariat. Malachi Black tagged in and clocked Kenny with a leaping knee strike. Matt Jackson super kicked Black and Buddy. Omega and Black exchanged strikes. Nick Jackson had his ankle pulled by Julia Hart. Brody grabbed Nick, but Matt was there to help his brother with a super kick to Brody. Omega wiped out Brody with the V trigger. Kenny Omega drilled Malachi Black with the Snapdragon suplex, while Julia Hart jumped on the apron in an attempt to distract Kenny. Kenny inadvertently knocked Julia off the apron with the V trigger. The House of Black grabbed Kenny and spiked him with Dante's Inferno. The House of Black had Omega surrounded in the ring. The Bucks pulled Buddy and Brody out of the ring, landing super kicks on the House of Black. The Elite smashed Black with the BTE trigger, but Matthews was there to break up the pin attempt. Matt called for the Meltzer driver, but Matthews countered, and the House of Black finished off Matt Jackson with Dante's Inferno. Malachi Black grabbed the pin and became the new AEW World Trios Champions. So there we seen the Elite. They dropped the AEW World Trios Championship to the House of Black. I mean, hey, good for them. Good for them, because I know in the past I've heard a lot about Kenny Omega being a single star and like NJPW and all that. I never got to see him actually compete, and that was the first match I actually got to see him compete, and think it was a great match overall. I mean, hey, and then again, I always heard about the Young Bucks and all that jazz with like Cody Rhodes or something. I think it was before Cody jumped ship again back to WWE. But hey, again, overall, great match. All right, then we had the AEW's Women's World Championship match, which was pretty short. It's terrible to say, but like I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of fans that don't like the women's wrestling, and it's just like the women's division, and I feel like every company, it seems like, just doesn't get a lot of recognition. So it just sucks to say that this was the only women's match. They only had one women's match, and it was the shortest match out of all of them. I don't get it. Like, show some respect for these people, you know? Like, I get it that a huge fan base is mainly men, but I don't know. You get what I'm saying. It's not fair. It's both sides. WWE, AEW, there's not really like a equal playing card. WWE stepped up a bit with it, but it's still a tragedy. You know what I mean? But here we go. The AEW's Women's World Championship match started off with Jamie Hayter, who was a champion, versus Ruby Soho, and then versus Saraya. I don't know. I all I know is her name was Paige from WWE. I don't know how to pronounce her name now. But started off Saraya and Soho and Hayter brawled through the crowd. Hey, starting off as a women's match going through the crowd, interesting. I mean, you don't really see that often with the women's matches. They usually mainly stay in the ring or like go around ringside, but you never really see them actually like take that big step forward like the men's matches. But Sahara and Hayter returned to the ring where Sahara stomped the mud hole into Jamie Hayter. Again, if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, please tell me and correct me. Some of these names are just kind of hard to pronounce in my opinion. But Hayter planted Saraya on the ring apron. Ruby jumped in and dished out a suplex to Saraya. Jamie grabbed Ruby and rocked her with the Hayter breaker. Ruby drilled Saraya with Destination Unknown, but Hayter was there to break up the pin. Ruby went for a kick up. Hayter ducked it, rolled up Ruby, and pinned her. Well, Tony Storm, jumped in the ring after the match and began to kick Hayter. Baker came in to even up the odds, but Saraya and Storm swarmed the Baker. Ruby Soho joined Saraya and Storm in beating down Hayter and Baker. So there we see Ruby Soho wins the AEW Women's World Championship match. Never mind. I'm wrong. I missaid that. Take that back. It was Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter won that match. I don't know why I said Ruby. Ignore me on that one. Now this match, the Texas Death Match. Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page. Ever since Jon Moxley came over to AEW, all I ever heard was his matches are just phenomenal. There's nothing like them. I remember when John was in not AEW, was with WWE, Dean Ambrose, The Shield. I loved his character, like the crazy lunatic, crazy man who took risks. Like he did everything and anything. So I couldn't I this isn't the first match I've seen of him in AEW. I've seen clips, little videos on YouTube, AEW's like Instagram page and everything. I see it. The man's nuts. Like the half the stuff he does, I would never do, ever. Like I couldn't. Like it's crazy. But start off, Page jumped Moxley as he was making his entrance. Hangman and Moxley chopped each other in the ring. They upgraded to forearms and then punches. Moxley plastered Page with a punch to the jaw. Moxley not grabbed Barb. Who the hell is Barb? Moxley grabbed a barbed wire bat and was about to not a bat. Oh my god. He grabbed the barbed wire. Just put it that way. He just grabbed barbed wire. Was about to wrap it around Adam Page. Again, just nuts. Who the hell would do that? I wouldn't do that. Like, but Page blocked it. Page raked the barbed wire against Moxley's forehead. Again, who goes through this torture? I couldn't do this. I can't even watch it. It's just like gruesome, but it's good. This is what I miss this stuff in WWE, you know? Like as much as like it's sometimes hard to watch because you're just like, who would go through that? It's amazing. It's just like it's just amazing to watch. It's just kind of like who would go through that? That guy right there. He will go through it. It's happening right now. But Moxley grabbed more barbed wire, wrapping it around his fist and clocking Page with it. Moxley pulled a fork out of his boot. A fork. He pulled a fork out of his boot. Moxley trapped Page in a triangle and stabbed Page in the forehead repeatedly with a fork. A fork. You know, we see tables, chairs, ladders, bats, sledgehammers, kendo sticks, anything and everything. A fork. He grabs a fork out. Who puts a fork in their boot? That must have been uncomfortable for like a few minutes or whatever. How long it was in there? You know, like I can't stand when I have a little pebble in my shoe. You know, let alone a fork. Well, Moxley grabbed a steel chair that was wrapped in barbed wire and propped it in the corner. Of course, more barbed wire. Why not? Page got to his feet and charged at Moxley, but Moxley dodged Page, sending Page crashing into the barbed wire. Moxley placed Page in a single leg crab on top of the chair, wrapped in barbed. Now that just hurts because again, you're laying on barbed wire. Now you're basically being pushed into it while also suffering in a submission. Like, geez. Page popped up and power bombed Moxley onto two chairs that were wrapped in barbed wire. Both wrestlers were up before the 10 count. So again, this is basically a no disqualification, but with a count out. A count out? Why is there a count out? This is a no disqualification match. That makes no sense. I don't know. But Hangman Page wrapped his torso in barbed wire and launched himself onto Moxley on the arena floor with a moonsault. Page returned to the ring, but Moxley baited him in and rocked Page with the cutter. Moxley pulled out a chain and two bricks from beneath the ring. Moxley placed Page's hand in between the two bricks and stomped on it. Moxley spiked Page with a pile driver onto a steel chair. Moxley began to hog-tie Page with the chain. Page bit on Moxley's hand out of sheer desperation, while Moxley escaped the ring and set up a plank wrapped in barbed wire across two chairs. Moxley went to grab Page in the ring, but Page jacked Moxley with the clothesline. Page hurled Mox with a fall-away slam onto the steel chair wrapped in barbed wire. Page then followed up with the Deadeye onto the barbed wire wrapped chair. Page and Moxley clawed one another on top of the turnbuckles. Moxley shoved Page off the top, sending Page crashing through the barbed wire wrapped plank on the arena floor. Page got to his feet and back in the ring in time, but Moxley was there waiting with the King Kong lariat. Page rallied back with a lariat of his own, but Page went for the buckshot, but Mox countered with a Death Rider. Again, this is just already this match was just insane to begin with. We're still not done. I'm reading off of my notes. Again, that's why like I'm just like having trouble like pronouncing things because like I am reading off of my notes that I took from each match. Because again, like I'm not really I don't know. I just took notes just so I knew like exactly what I wanted to say, or just like a summary of what went down. All right. Well, Moxley curb stomped Page onto the bricks. Page managed to get to his feet, but Moxley wrapped up Page in the bulldog choke. Hangman faded and Mox let go, letting Page crumble. Moxley grabbed the chain just in case Page got to his feet. Mox, not oh my god. Page grabbed one end of the chain, pulled Moxley toward him, and threw everything he had into a lariat at Moxley. Page smashed a brick against Moxley's head. Page connected with the buckshot lariat, then Moxley was knocked over the top rope. The chain wrapped around his neck. Page pulled on the chain and Moxley had no choice but to tap out. Again, a gruesome match from start to beginning, the Texas Death Match. You heard, Hangman Adam Page beat Jon Moxley. Well, that again, just nuts. I would never do that match in a million years if I was in the company. The TNT Championship match consisted of Samoa Joe, who was the champion, versus Wardlow. Again, I've seen a lot about Wardlow, this powerhouse freak in a way. Samoa Joe started off with the match with an elbow suicida, went back in the ring. Wardlow steamrolled Joe with a running clothesline in the corner. Powerhouse Hobbs was scouting this match as he'll face the winner on Dynamite this Wednesday. So there was a guy, I don't know who the hell Powerhouse Hobbs was, but he was there just to scout the match basically. Samoa Joe connected with powerful punch, powerful jabs to Wardlow. Samoa Joe kicked out Wardlow's legs. Somehow Wardlow found the strength to get up and drop a senton Atomico on Samoa Joe right on target. Samoa Joe popped up and put Wardlow in a sleeper. Wardlow managed to get to the bottom rope to force the break. Samoa Joe was searching for a muscle buster, but Wardlow countered with a powerbomb out of the corner. Samoa Joe came back with the haymaker lariat on Wardlow. Wardlow headbutted Samoa Joe and then grapevine Samoa Joe with the sleeper. Wardlow choked out Samoa Joe and became the new TNT champion. Wow. That, again, me and Nick always talk about you can't have Goliath versus Goliath. You know, these are two big men. Samoa Joe is a powerhouse and a technician. Wardlow's just a monster of his own in a way. Because I've seen him before, and usually, from my understanding, it was always Samoa Joe putting people to sleep, but this time it was him going. So that was something different to watch. Second to last match, AEW's World Tag Team Championship match, which consisted of a triple threat tag team. The Guns, which was Austin and Colton, the Acclaimed Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, and then Danhausen and the freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Whatever. Sorry, it wasn't a triple threat tag team. It was a fatal four-way tag team. Started off with Orange Cassidy drop kick Jeff Jarrett. Danhausen tagged in and charged at Jay Lethal in the corner with a running forearm. Danhausen took down Lethal with a Hurricanrana. Cassidy wiped out Colton with a flying body press. Orange Cassidy was looking for the orange punch, but Austin tagged out to Lethal. Jay Lethal nailed Orange with the lethal combination. I forgot to say, I keep forgetting to say this. The champions in this match start off with the Guns, Austin and Colton. But get back to it. Caster tagged in and scoop slammed Lethal. Sanjay jumped into the ring and Bowens dropped the scissor me timbers on him. That some of these names of these moves, I don't get it. Austin dropped Bowens with a delayed vertical suplex. Bowens tagged out to Max. Caster counted the strike by Jarrett, but Lethal was there to dish out a thrust kick. Danhausen had a face-off with Satnam Sai Singh. I don't know. Danhausen was about to curse Satnam when Sanjay interfered. Daddy ass jumped in with the fame asser on Satnam. The Guns delivered double low blows to Daddy ass. The Acclaimed hit tandem offense and Colton. Austin charged in but was met with the arrival and the mic drop. Colton saved his brother, breaking up the pinfall. Jarrett grabbed his guitar and swung it at Caster. Max stripped Jarrett of the guitar, but before Max could use it, Aubrey yanked it away. Lethal cracked Max with the Golden Globe. Austin grabbed the blind tag, and Danhausen tagged in too. The Guns drilled Danhausen with the 310 to Yuma, 310 to Yuma, and pinned Danhausen. So there we have it. The Guns won the Fatal 4-Way AEW World Tag Team Championship match to retain. Last but not least, the main event, the 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. MJF, the current champion, and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Now, again, this match, phenomenal match. MJF is just amazing to watch. I love his promos. I've seen them, especially that his own pipe bomb back, and I think it was like October, November. I don't know. It was a little bit ago. That he's just fantastic. You never even you see videos of him meeting fans outside, just in public. I don't know if this is just him just really sticking to his character or if he's just an asshole in real life like this. I don't know. But whatever it is, I love it. I love to see it. But start off the match, Danielson put MJF in a bow and arrow submission. MJF escaped, and Danielson laughed at him and mocked him by doing jumping jacks. MJF and Danielson traded arm drags going move for move. The fans gave both wrestlers a standing ovation. Because again, it's the main event. Everyone loves MJF. Everyone loves Bryan Danielson. I was about to call him Daniel Bryan. Again, it's just I'm just used to these. It's like I'm used to these names from WWE, and I jump ship over to AEW, and I'm just like, what's your name again? Is it Christian? No, it's Christian Cage now. Oh, great. Just add a cage to the end of it. Bryan Danielson. Oh wow, you just swapped it. Daniel Bryan. I don't know. But after the ovation, MJF drilled Danielson with a DDT. 15 minutes were down, and neither man had the clear advantage. Danielson blasted MJF with the sunset flip powerbomb. Danielson tried for a hurricanrana, but MJF countered with a powerbomb onto his knees. Danielson scored with the top 20 minutes into the match. So there we go. Danielson gets the first pinfall in the Iron Man match. Again, how an Iron Man match works is there's a time limit. This one's an hour long. Nuts in my opinion. An hour-long match, whoever gets the most pins or submissions wins. So right now, Danielson, within 20 minutes, has the first fall. So he's on top, 1-0. MJF and Danielson hit one another with lariats, while Danielson scored the first fall after the running knee hit. All right, sorry, that's how he scored it. That's how he scores the first fall. Either way, like I said, he gets the first fall. MJF, he hits him with the running knee right on target. MJF struck Danielson with a low blow. It cost MJF one fall as he was disqualified. Again, you can also give up a point for hitting your opponent with a low blow, disqualification. A weapon on the ringside, disqualification. Being counted out, this is just a normal match. A normal one-on-one match, except it's an hour long and you have to win with getting the most points. But then MJF scored 2 falls in rapid succession, so it ended up getting tied 2-2. Danielson wrapped MJF's knee around the steel ring post. Sorry, I'm trying to see what the hell I just lost my notes at. Steel ring post. MGF writhed in pain. Sorry. MGF was able to knock Danielson off the apron. MGF jumped off the top turnbuckle with a massive elbow drop, sending Brian Danielson through the timekeepers. Oh my lord, table. Danielson made it back into the ring, barely beating the 10 count. MGF planted Bryan with a tombstone pile driver through the remnants of the timekeeper's table. MGF stuck Danielson with the heat seeker and pinned the challenger. MJF is now up 3-2 with just under 20 minutes remaining. Moments shifted again as Bryan jumped off the top turnbuckle onto MJF on the arena floor. Danielson sent MJF flying with the spider suplex. Bryan Danielson walloped MJF with a diving headbutt. Danielson locked MJF into a submission and MJF tapped out. It was tied back up 3-3. MJF tried for the salt of the earth, I think is what they called it, but Bryan rolled through and trapped MJF in the label lock. MJF transitioned and countered with the salt of the earth. Danielson managed to touch the bottom of the rope with his boot and forced a rope break. MJF and Danielson exchanged headbutts with one another. There were less than 5 minutes remaining. Danielson smiled and hit MJF with a chop. MJF poked Danielson in the eyes. MJF nailed Bryan with a heat seeker, but Danielson kicked out. With less than 3 minutes, MJF planted Danielson with a tombstone pile driver off the middle turnbuckle. MJF immediately clutched his knees upon the impact of landing. With 60 seconds, Danielson locked on a single leg crab. The time elapsed and MJF tapped out after. The match was announced as a draw. So MJF taps out after the timer went off. There's tied 3-3. So that means it ends up in a tie. So that's how that match ends. You know, like that oh. Great. It's a great way to end that match. Because again, it's like, who do you give it to? You know, like, do you want MJF to keep winning that, want to win that big match, or do you want Bryan Danielson to win it? You know, again, I don't know much of what was going on into this pay-per-view, but again, usually if a match ends in a draw, it's usually because they, in my opinion, for whatever company, whether it's WWE or AEW, if a match ends in a draw, or disqualifications, because you don't know how to have someone lose or win. You know, it's one of those things where it's like you couldn't pinpoint a certain way to have it done. So instead of having one person lose and one person win, you just got to end it in a draw or disqualification. Who knows? You know, but I forgot one thing. Tony Khan would not allow this match to end in a draw. It would now be sudden death with the next fall winning the match. MJF shoved the ref, and the ref shoved back. Danielson cradled MJF for a near fall, but MJF pulled the ref close and then a low blow to Danielson with a back kick. MJF tried for the pin, but Danielson kicked out. MJF was about to use the dynamite diamond ring when Danielson connected with the reverse hurricanrana. Danielson waffled MJF with the running knee for a 2 count. Danielson put MJF in a single leg submission. MJF grabbed the bottom rope and then tapped. Danielson didn't see MJF grab the rope, only hearing the tap. MJF cracked Danielson with the oxygen tank. Apparently there was an oxygen tank, unbeknownst to the ref. So the ref didn't see it. Of course, you know, the typical. MJF put Danielson in the label lock, and Danielson finally tapped. Sorry, I forgot that part in the notes. That's my bad. I mean, so it didn't end in a draw. It ended up being a sudden death with MJF putting Bryan Danielson in his own submission move from what I know back in WWE, and he tapped to it. And again, it's just like another great match. These were all great matches. You know, I can't say they were bad, can't say that they were perfect, you know, but for a first time watching and seeing an AEW show, everything was phenomenal. Everything was phenomenal. I'd have to rate it a B plus to an A minus, somewhere in between there. I mean, it was great all around. But thanks for tuning in to Top Notch Sports for the first AEW video on this channel. See you next time. We are, we are built better. See you all later.